Dear students, welcome back. Now we are going to see the first motion of the scapula, that is the primary or the principal motion of the scapula, that is upward and downward rotation of the scapula on the thorax. Okay, upward rotation of the scapula on the thorax is the principal motion of the scapula observed during active elevation of the arm, and it plays an significant role in increasing the arm's range of elevation overhead. So that means overhead elevation, we can call it as. It may be a flexion or it may be abduction. Okay, elevation, whenever you will get the term elevation of the arm, it may be a flexion or abduction of the arm. Okay, so this is the thing happened. So upward rotation of the scapula on the thorax is the principal motion of the scapula, which is observed during active elevation of the arm and plays a very significant role in increasing the arm's range of elevation, that is overhead elevation. Okay, normally, so to increase this elevation of the arm, there is a 50 degrees to 60 degrees of upward rotation of the scapula taking place. 50 to 60 degrees of upward rotation of the scapula on the thorax is available to increase the range of motion of elevation of the arm. Okay, because of this close chain relationship between the sternoclavicular and acromioclavicular, acromioclavicular and scapulothoracic joints, all these joints will have some differing proportions. So during this elevation of arm, if the scapula is rotating some degree of upward rotation, which definitely causes some motions in the AC joint as well as the sternoclavicular joint. So that means this upward rotation will have some proportions of rotations or translations in the AC joint as well as the sternoclavicular joint. Okay, so now we will see how this what are the proportions which are giving all these joints at different levels. So that type of individual or combining effects we are going to see in integrated function of the shoulder complex. But at this stage you have to know that for upward rotation of the scapula, which increases the elevation of the arm, will have some proportions of movements not only in the upward rotation of the scapula, but also some motions at the AC joint and the SC joints are also present. That point you have to remember. Okay, so what are those movements? So during upward and downward rotation of the scapula, okay, this upward and downward rotation of the scapula, this is one is the upward rotation and this one is the downward rotation of the scapula, is contributed by sternoclavicular joint, sternoclavicular joint, posterior anterior rotation. So that means posterior rotation, and it again comes to its normal position anterior, that is posterior anterior rotation, and also by the sternoclavicular joint elevation and depression, and by the acromioclavicular joint upward and downward rotation. In the clavicular joint, AC joint, upward and downward rotation. Okay, so all these movements also occur for the rotation of the scapula upward and downward directions. So that means any kind of movements, these contributions occur at any joint, it causes movement in the scapula, or any upward and downward rotation of the scapula causes whatever the proportions I have explained are taking place at the acromioclavicular joint and sternoclavicular joint. So some of the theoretical explanations are given in your textbooks. Go through it. So that means, so I'm going to explain it orally here. You just go through that pic in that. Okay. So because the axis of the sternoclavicular joint and the scapulothoracic joint are not parallel, the relationship between the sternoclavicular and acromioclavicular joint motions and scapulothoracic joint motions are more challenging to visualize. So we can't see all these movements at a time. Okay, it is not possible. If the long axis, we know that the long axis of the clavicle is parallel to the scapula. So that means plane of the scapula. It is parallel to the plane of the scapula. Then what happens? The internal rotation at the acromioclavicular joint is 0 degrees. So it is not possible to occur. Just it is a theoretical thing. So 0 degrees occurs. That means in that case sternoclavicular joint elevation would directly result in with the scapulothoracic joint elevation. That means it is not acting anyway more. So only the this movement in the sternoclavicular joint causes the upward rotation of the scapula directly, but it is not possible in an anatomical position. This one is a theoretical assumption. For example, if long axis of the clavicle is perpendicular to the plane of the scapula, so this long axis is perpendicular to the plane of the scapula, that is 90 degrees. So then what happens? So the sternoclavicular joint posterior rotation of the clavicle. So what happens at the and this acromioclavicular joint rotation is at 90 degrees. So that is the thing I have shown you here. So it forms the 90 degrees with this one, and causes the sternoclavicular joint posterior rotation would directly causes the scapulothoracic upward rotation. Okay, so at 0 degrees of internal rotation of the AC joint will have direct effect on the scapula, and also if it is 90 degrees, the AC joint is 90 degrees with that of this long axis to the plane of the scapula, then also this posterior rotation of the clavicle will have direct effect on the scapular rotation, upward rotation. But these two things are theoretically possible, but it is not possible in the case of normal healthy person. So here the available range of AC joint internal rotation is only 58 degrees to 68 degrees. Okay, that means only 1/3 of the clavicular elevation is occurred. 1/3 of the elevation of the clavicle will result in scapulothoracic upward rotation. So that means posterior rotation of the clavicle causes 1/3 of elevation of the clavicle results in scapulothoracic upward rotation. This thing is the actual thing happens in the upward and downward rotation of the motions. Okay, that means if you can see this joint superiorly, so this one is the clavicle, yes, and this one is the acromion process. So here, so this angle, normal angle in between these two things is 58 to 68 degrees. So this degree of acromioclavicular joint is in internally rotated position, which causes upward rotation of the scapula. When the clavicle is rotated, one third of the posterior rotation of the clavicle results in the elevation of the clavicle. That means if clavicle is rotating like this, so this clavicle is elevated. This elevation of clavicle causes upward rotation of the scapula. So this is the actual thing happened. So in your textbook you'll have some pics. If it is 0 degrees, how this clavicle, that means if it is 0 degrees means both the axes are in parallel in direction. If it is 90 degrees, then the long axis and the plane of the scapula is at 90 degrees perpendicular to each other. Then what will happen? So in such cases, 2/3 of the posterior rotation of the clavicle will take place, which causes elevation of the clavicle, which directly affects the upward rotation of the scapula. That is only a theoretical thing, but here the available rotation is 1/3 rotation of the clavicle, clavicle at the sternoclavicular joint causes the elevation of the clavicle, which results in upward rotation of the scapula. So this is about the upward and downward rotation of the scapula. And in the next video we are going to see the remaining motions of the scapula and also the scapulothoracic joint stability. Thank you.